Hey, family. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the African Ancestry Experience, where we discuss what it means to help transform the way Black people view themselves, or we view ourselves, and Africa. For this special edition of the African Ancestry Experience, we're being joined by a few of our African Ancestry family members who traveled with me. I traveled with them to Ghana to share their reflections of our first inaugural African Ancestry Family Reunion in Ghana. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned because I want to know ya.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia.
The African Ancestry Experience is all about sharing identity-focused conversations with the African diaspora. Here at African Ancestry, we help you trace your DNA, we help you find your roots, and we help you explore who you are. So for the African Ancestry online community family, I want to see your flag, your country flags up here in the chat. I saw Joseph was here. Joseph's in the building. Menelik, I am Bolt. Hello, everybody. Daniel, see, Robert, everybody's here. Say yes to your dreams. Shout out to Nate Robinson. Say yes to your dreams. Mary Smith, all of y'all, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to be spending this Wednesday with you. And the African Ancestry online community is nearly 10,000 people deep. So they're not playing over there. Many of you have already taken the test and found your results in a present day African country and ethnic group. So then what do you do? Well, people do all different sorts of things to reconnect with their roots. And joining one of our African Ancestry Family Reunions is just one way to keep the connection strong. So we did Ghana. They're off to Sierra Leone at the end of the month, and that trip is sold out, but we still might have maybe one space left on our trip to Cameroon. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. But head on over to africanancestry.com/travel to learn more. Now, every week we give away swag to the first person to join us, but we're doing something different tonight. Are y'all ready for the release of Black Panther? Put in the chat if you're going to see Black Panther. I want to know who's going to see Black Panther. We're going, African Ancestry and our partners over at mahoganybooks.com. We are co-hosting a private screening here in DC of the movie. And so tonight's lucky winner is someone from the DMV is going to win two free passes to join us on Monday. That's November 14th at the Angelica Pop-Up Theater at Union Market. So if you are watching us and you're in the DMV, I need to see that in the chat so that Wendy can figure out who is the winner. Now, we still have a few tickets left. So if you don't win tickets and you want to join us, you can go to Eventbrite. Wendy's going to put the link in the comments, and there's a password that you have to use to be able to join us. The password is AAOC. So you're welcome to join us. And Ty's going to be there, our AAOC manager. She's going to be there hosting some trivia. We're going to have an altar. It's going to be all kinds of cool stuff. So I hope you all can join us. But if you can't join us, we still want to know what you're wearing. What's your outfit going to be for the movie? And so if you tag us in your posts with your pictures, then we want to share it on social media. So please let us know. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I need to tell you guys this. So it's the holidays, right? And this is when you really, if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about getting a test kit, now's the perfect time. Because if you get a test kit now and you send in your swabs by November 30th, you'll have your results for Black History Month. People do the same old stuff every Black History Month, but how about you do something different this year and you and your family explore your family's history all the way back to Africa? I think you should do that. And then last but not least, you know, our YouTube channel is over there. It's banging. Wendy's doing a great job. And there's new content every day. So please be sure to like and share and subscribe and turn on the notifications, our Cafe Cubano Keys, so that you don't miss a single episode. Whoo! Okay, I am so ready for this. You know, we were in Ghana. Oh, shout out to Marcella. Her kit arrived today. Okay, Marcella, so you got to follow the directions, read the directions carefully, and get your swabs back to us ASAP so we can find out where you're from in February. That would be so dope. I see some new names. Desmond Sumter, welcome. Hi, Candace. Thank you for being here. Robert Lambert's in the house. And of course, Yakota. Look at the gang is all here. Oh, Edward Robinson, I love you too. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, this is cool. But anyway, okay, so this is the best part. So I just spent the past 14 days or something like that with an incredible group of people, all different personalities from all different parts of the country. And we all came together on a bus, on a plane, and then a bus, and traveled all across Cameroon. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at Reggie Keys in the background because I think he's going to go to Cameroon. We went all across Ghana, and there were just the fantastic conversations and insights. So I want you all to put a Ghana flag. Go ahead and find the Ghana flag in your emojis and put the Ghana flag up to welcome the African Ancestry Ghana crew to the African Ancestry Experience. Where are you at? Where are you at? Wendy, are you going to pull them up? There's one. Okay, there's two. Okay. Here they are. What's up, people?
What's up, Gina?
Gina.
I feel like
so Gina, we took a boat too.
Oh, I wasn't on the boat.
No, you missed the boat.
Missed the boat.
Okay, well, wait a minute now. We got to talk about that because, you know, I didn't ask you guys about that part of the trip. So, okay, but we'll get to the boat. So first of all, let's tell the people who you are. Let's start with you. So I was so excited in the airport when I sat down and I saw the Joneses. Those are the Joneses down there sitting together. They are inseparable. Everywhere they go, it's the two of them next to each other. This is how they rolled through Ghana. Nobody got in between the Joneses. And Reggie was there and he's like, yeah, I'm Reggie Keys. And I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And he's just looking at me like, what do you mean, nice to meet you? Don't you know who I am? And then he said, our Cafe Cubano Keys. And I was like, ah! So all of you all who are regulars, you know that's my favorite Facebook name. And so this is him in the flesh. Reggie Keys is joining us. Welcome. And then we have Ayotunde joining us. You're in Chicago, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, Ayotunde. And can I just call you Tunde?
You can, yes.
We were calling you Tunde on the trip. I'm be butchering your name. And then we have Aroll and Pamela Jones who are in Nashville. Hey, y'all.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Gina.
Good to see y'all. Okay, listen. So we usually start our shows by asking people to fill in a sentence. So I give you a sentence and then you finish it. But I want to do something a little bit differently because there's so many of you and there's so much to talk about. So if we could just go around and you tell us why you decided to take an African ancestry test and what your results are. So let's start with you, Reggie.
So I think like most Black Americans, we kind of struggle with understanding our identity. And there's always some family history that talks about we're this, we're that, we come from these line of people. And I have an interesting background because I have people from the Caribbean, Cubans, and Haitian people. So it was kind of something I really needed to know and really wanted to know. So I did the test. I did the maternal and the paternal, and the maternal came back Ghana. So I'm Ghanaian. Hey.
And what's your
then
ethnic
it's the Akan group, which is like a big umbrella for a lot of subgroups. So most people will probably come back as Icon or Akan, however you want to pronounce it. But there are tons of little subgroups that you could fall into. And part of the, something that was interesting about the trip is that we kind of ran across a lot of different ethnic groups, and they were looking at us trying to figure out what group we would belong to. And I had like several different people say, you're part of this group, you're part of that group. So it was nice to kind of see how the people were actually interested in us and really trying to accept us and welcome us into their subgroup. So, and then I did the paternal, and that one came through Cameroon. So that's why you that's why you kind of focused on the Cameroon, because I actually want to go to Cameroon because of my father's line. They're the Bemeliki people who came from Egypt. So, and I have this really weird connection with Egyptian history. So it kind of fell in line with what I already felt or believed in my heart. So that's kind of the main reasons why I took the test, to kind of understand who I am and what are those things that are driving me as a person that may be connected to my heritage.
Nice.
So that's the main reasons.
Cool. Let's go to Nashville. So Pamela, shout out to Pamela Jones. What made you decide to take the test, Pamela?
Well, actually, Aroll and I decided to do it at the same time. This is something we've been talking about for years, going back to Africa, to find our roots, to find our history, to know who we belong to and where we come from. And that's the question, like Reggie said, it's always something in the back of your mind trying to figure out, who are we? What's our true roots? And so when we came across African Ancestry, we took the DNA test, and it led my husband to Ghana with the Akan tribe, and it led me to two different tribes. One in my mother's tribe lineage was in Mali, and to my father's side, it was in Gabon.
Okay.
And the unique thing about that, both my husband and I have ties to Gabon on our father's side.
So tell us the groups, because other people are out here thinking, yeah, I'm from Cameroon, I'm from Mali, and they're just talking about percentages of these random regions. And one of the main thing that makes African Ancestry so powerful and transformative is we gave you your tribe, so to speak. So what were your groups in Gabon?
Well, at first, with Mali on my mother's side, it's the Tuareg people.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Yes.
Okay.
And on my father's side in Gabon, it's the Fang and the Binga people.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what about you, Aroll?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's been a long journey, because my parents and everybody's from Mississippi. So being from Mississippi, they talked about the Choctaw, the Chickasaw on that side of the family. But when you research that, you can't find anything about that. And when you go down there, it's kind of been erased. So I've been searching for that for a while. So when I did the ancestry, I did the paternal and got back Akan, and that's why we planned a trip to Ghana. Once that came back, and you guys had a trip coming up, we became a part of that trip to make sure that I got a chance to go and meet everybody, meet Diallo and everything that I'd seen you guys doing, just watching YouTube. So it was I'd done a lot of study, I've done a lot of looking around where I wanted to go, and we went to a lot of the places that I wanted to go to. Okay. So I came back Akan, then Ashanti with that, and that everything was just beautiful. And then and going to Kumasi was just, that was it. That was like the coup de grace, right?
Okay, so wait, stop. Yeah, don't tell him yet. Don't tell him.
Okay. And then on my dad's side, it also came back Gabon. So Pam and I both on our dad's side 400 years ago, they grabbed those guys and they ended up here in the States. And the tribe is the Obama tribe.
Nice.
The Obama tribe out of Gabon. So Pam's on the east side and I'm on the west side.
I love it. Now, Tunde, you are a unique part of this trip because you came even though your results weren't Ghanaian. So tell us what motivated you to take the test and then why you decided to come with us to Ghana.
All right. So I actually was watching Tiffany Cross on her show one Saturday morning, and she did you did her reveal. And I was moved, and so I called my sister and I was like, we gotta get this test. And so I ordered it, like, we talked about it and I ordered it. And then I was slow to get the result. Like, I was slow to do my swab. And then I got the notification about the trip, and I joined the call, and I was like, I'm going to Africa. So I had missed a trip with my church, I think in 2019 they went to Ghana. So since I couldn't go then, I was like, I want to go to Ghana. So that's the trip I chose. And then I did the swab. I got it back. I found out I traced to Cameroon in the interim, and I was like, that's okay. So I think I'm going to Cameroon next, but
What group?
Oh, the T-Car people in Cameroon.
Nice. The artists and the artisans.
Yeah.
I love it. So see, you're a perfect example of how the African Ancestry Family Reunions are open to anybody who has taken the test, anybody who's in the family. You can come with us to any country, whether you share ancestry with that country or not. Okay, so now I want to know about some highlights. What one thing that really stood out to you during the trip? And Aroll, you started to talk about Kumasi. I don't know if that's your one thing, but what would you say?
Well, I'd say it was the Stilt Village.
Okay.
When we went out, that was one of the things I had watched and looking at their lifestyle and how they live. And it was like, if I go to Ghana, I definitely want to go and meet them. And what was surprising was when we landed, we took another plane the next day from Accra and went west. And that was one of the first places we went to. So that was just like a vision coming true, and getting to meet them and how they live was just heartwarming to see their reality, to touch their reality, and to understand them much better.
So hold on 1 second. So can you describe it? Because I didn't go.
Well,
so it was literally everybody was on stilts. How did you move from?
Yeah, well, we got to the landing area, and we had to get on boats. So they broke us up into two groups and put us on our motorboats.
Okay.
So they were the long, thin motorboats. So it was about 3 of us to a boat, and they had to take us out. So we went out through this canal, and they had 2 parts to the canal. They had a man-drenched canal that brought them farther inland, and then we met the natural canal because there's a flooding season. So when we hit the natural canal, that took us out a little deeper, and then we went on out into the river to where we could meet to the village out in the middle part of the river. Okay. So that's how we got out there. And it was a good 20-minute boat ride to get out there.
The whole village is on stilts.
The whole village is out there on stilts.
Right.
And even when they build a new building, they had the wood out there, and they had gotten a newer type of wood that lasts longer, that's cured, that they put down and do a foundation and actually build the floor on that foundation and build the next house next to the next houses.
Wow.
So when we got out there, we pulled up to their dock and kind of went on board with them. And it's like, it's literally just pulling up some planks. Everything is just wood planks. The whole thing.
Are they connected? So is there a connection? There's wooden pathways.
Yes, it's all connected. It's all connected. They even got streets. They even got street signs.
Right.
They even got street signs, but it's all connected. So, and what we did was we went like down the main boulevard and transversed all the way to the end. And in doing that, we passed the city council area and met the chief there, and he gave us the history. And then after that, we paid homage to him. And after that, we kind of got back on the boulevard and walked down. And as we did, we passed the store, and then we passed a pharmacy.
Crazy.
And then we passed another grocery store, and then we passed houses, huts along the way, and we walked all the way to the end. And when we got to the end, there was a school. And this school was like, take a left, and it went down. I don't know, maybe 100, maybe 40 yards. You know, it was pretty long. And inside this school was 91 kids. 91 kids with one teacher. And the kids all had on uniform, press uniform. The teacher had press uniform on. And just amazing that we found this teacher with these kids in this environment. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. So when we came back, we ended up staying in the the social building for a little while, and then they had a bar. So we stopped at the bar.
Oh Lord! Wait, hold on. Let me tell you.
It's a little city.
Wait a minute.
They got everything they need, and there's all kind of houses along the way.
Right.
This one right here, he was the party animal. He was the party animal, talking about we found a bar. We had a lot of good drinks thanks to the Joneses. Pamela, what was the highlight for you?
Well, actually, the Stilt Village was the main thing that struck me. But the next item was the canopy walk.
Yeah.
Because I was a little reluctant, but I didn't want anyone to know that because I really was thrilled about taking this adventure. And there were like 7 suspension bridges. If you chickened out, you could stop, halfway through. But I was determined to do the whole thing. And they told us we were going up 270 feet above ground, right?
Yeah, above the trees.
Above the trees. And I was glad that at about third of the way, they stop and give you a break. And she would talk and give you some directions about what's going to happen. And I thought, okay, thank God she stopped. But I think that's planned. It wasn't just for tourists, And then we go up more and more. And I kept seeing people coming down. I thought, don't tell me once I get to the top, I've got to walk all the way back down again. But I thought, I'm going to make it to the top. I got to the top. The suspension bridge was maybe a foot and a half wide. And they had this netting that came up because I'm short. It all came up to my shoulder, which I was grateful for because then I felt secure that I wasn't going to fall off, even though they told us multiple times we wouldn't fall off.
Right.
Wow. And it was just great because you just go from one suspension bridge to a platform, then you go to the next one, and we all stayed in a line together. And there wasn't much swaying, but you could look down and you could see at the top of all the trees. You could look out into the distance and just see nothing but blue skies. It was just beautiful.
Wow. Beautiful. Now, before we go to Tunde and Reggie's reflections, we have some clips that I wanted to share with everybody. So let's check those out.
If I feel fine, me ask the girl if she feel fine. From day different size, different size, small waist and the bam bam double XL. Baby, tell me what is your doctor's name? Ain't gonna make us problem. Then I say I believe in government. We can give her money, check. Cause somebody they ginger me.
So that video was from Cape Coast Castle Dungeons. All right. That was a powerful time too. But so let's go to you, Tunde. What was one of the highlights for you? Oh, you're on mute, Tunde.
Thank you. Since Aroll already hit the Stilt Village, I'm gonna go with the Cape Coast Dungeon. We got there. We were standing there with Rabbi Kohen, and just being out there with him and listening to his words as we stood at the gate. I was emotional coming and going, and I mean that quite literally. Like, I don't remember the words that he spoke, but we were standing there, and I'm just crying. And I'm like, we haven't even made it through the door yet. And so he brought us in. He brought us into a circle once we passed the gate, and that's when we kind of invoked the ancestors, and that was another moment. And then he took us through each of the dungeons, explaining about, at each point what happens there, the female dungeon, the male dungeon, the church above the dungeon. Where the Europeans were worshiping God while they're capturing or holding enslaved people, right?
You're on mute again.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So he explained about how the Europeans were in the churches, in the church above the dungeons, praising God while they're holding our ancestors, right? So we, then I made our way to the door of no return. He gave us that, gave us a little bit more information about it. And then we crossed through, and then that was another emotional moment. And then you did the reveals for Black Alley, and that was like really, really cool. I really get I get emotional when I see the reveal. So
you
right.
I was crying before we even started. Take a moment before the reveal even started because I was crying.
Yeah. So that for me was like a really good day. Yeah, it was a really good day. I appreciated that day.
Nice. And how about you, Reggie Keys?
So it's a lot of things for me, Gina, and I'm gonna try to sum it up.
Just give us one highlight.
It's hard to really give one highlight, but I do want to kind of go back a little bit to the village on stilts, which is Insulezu is the name of the village, and it was kind of neat to see the connection full around for everyone, because Pam mentioned that she's Mali, and in fact that village is, all of those guys are actually from Mali, so they were part of the Mali Empire. So it was kind of great to see that connection. I don't know if they remember when the guy said that they were actually Mali. But for me, it was a combination of a lot of things. It was emotional, it was educational, it was healing, I think too, because I experienced a lot of things in the dungeons. When we went to the male dungeons, I can feel my male ancestries in that dungeon. Their DNA was on that floor. When they talked about, they did tests on the floor and pulled the DNA out of the floor. So that was kind of emotional. Going into the female dungeon, another emotional trip, because I can hear my female ancestors. I mean, I love my female family members, and I just could not imagine them having to endure all of that. And the spaces, people have no idea how small the spaces are and how they crammed hundreds and hundreds of people into that small space and how they had to live. It's not just the space, guys. They actually had to relieve themselves there. They had to eat there. They had to survive there. And that's a big thing to say, is survive. They survived so that we could be here today. Had they not endured what they endured, we would not be here today, because they could have made a different choice. They could have made a choice to end their own lives or just endure that. And thank God they did, because we're here today. So it's a lot of things, Gina. I can't really pinpoint just one thing. We had a lot of fun. We had great fun. But we balanced it with a lot of educational things and a lot of historical things and things that gave us some sense of peace or healing. So I'm going to stop there, because I'll talk forever if you let me.
No, that's fair.
And Gina, can I tag on to something he said?
Yes.
When we came back from the Stealth Village, okay, we were on our way back, and the rain was coming. So we're in these two boats, and I mean, we had just left the dock, and it started raining. So we're trying to get back, on this 20-minute journey, and it started raining hard. So the boats are moving as fast as they can without overheating the motors. The rain is hitting us in the face, and I got these, it was like we were being blessed on the way out. I'll tell you that. But that part right there was real, because when we got back and we all went under this hut, we were all laughing. Nobody had a problem with that rain. Right. We had just gotten drenched, but it felt more like a blessing of the skies just happy with us. Right. Just being happy with us that what we had went and done in our hearts, we wanted to do it. And the fact that we were there and they were so receptive and it was just so beautiful, and we just got blessed by the rain, and it was just beautiful, the whole thing, even though we got all that rain on us,
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Reggie's right. It was awesome.
Another unique. Go ahead.
Gina, one other thing too, because he just mentioned that how accepting and welcoming that people were, and they really were, because we went to this one area and this guy walked past us, and he wasn't trying to sell us anything. He didn't have any agenda, and he said to us, "Welcome home, welcome home." And he shook our hands, a couple of us, and just welcome home. And that it was just as pure and raw as it could possibly be. It was an amazing trip. Amazing.
Yeah. One of the unique experiences that we had that nobody else will ever get to experience was the installment of our very own director of partnerships, Diallo Sumbry, or should I say Nana One. Nana One become installed as the Nkosahene, which is the development chief of the village of Nyama-Bechere in Ghana's Ashanti region. And that was just an amazing display of pageantry and what would you say? How would you describe it? Pageantry, protocols,
ceremony.
Yes, that's the word.
Very ceremonious.
Ceremonial, yeah. And his first act, he had a naming ceremony for you guys. So what was that like?
Oh, that was awesome.
I think it was awesome. It was awesome. and the fact that we were in the same naming ceremony with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union is like, it was the highlight of being in a naming ceremony, because we shared it with some famous people. And I felt like we had equal time in that ceremony too. So it was fantastic.
So what are your names? Pamela, what's your name?
My name, since I was born on Sunday, my name is Akusawa.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you feel like an Akusawa?
Yes. Because the way he described it is someone who's patient, someone who's giving, someone who's trusting. And I like to believe that those are true characteristics of me.
Nice. And what about you, Aroll? What's your Ghanaian name?
I'm Tuesday. So it's Kwabena.
Okay.
Kwabena. And that's someone who's outgoing, kind of a go-getter. Everything he said was pretty much about me on that one. That was really hit me at home. Someone strong, someone looks after everyone. A lot of what he said is what I've been doing in my life. And I like the fact that Nana One, even though they may not have had a moment for us, he made a moment for us. And I like that part, because it was so much going on and just and delays and all that. I understood the length of it, but I understood what he did too, and the separation of, hey, we're here and who we are. So I love that part about Diallo, that he's representing us and saying our history as the American side of the conversation, as the Black Americans, and what we've gone through and how we're coming home. But we're not just coming as that, we're coming as what we are, because that's we're what we are. Just like they're what they are, we're what we are. So I like that part of it, because that's the window that I think has been missing, the acceptance of what we actually are from what we've gone through in this 400 years here. So I really, when he stepped up and did that, that's the part that I need to see. Nice. That's the part that I needed to see, that we do have a voice and we do have a say, and we're going to be listened to. And him being a chief now is very important to represent us and how we do things. And he earned it. And I like that part, because every one of us who's working with you, I think the ones of us who are conscious at this point who are doing this is in that leadership role. So we will earn our part too as we begin to go into the motherland and do things.
Thank you. Okay, Reggie, and what's your name?
Wednesday, so it would be Kwiku.
Kwiku, okay. And were you feeling like that was a name that reflects you?
I think so. Based on what Diallo said, I feel very comfortable with the name, because he said I was cool and calm, I guess.
I love it. I love it. Now, for each of you, this was the first time, your first trip to the continent, correct?
Yes. Not my first trip.
Okay, Aroll, you've been before, but everyone else, this was your first time. So, yes. Tunde, how did this trip? Oh yeah, it's not your first time either, Reggie. Okay, so Tunde and Pamela, the ladies, it was your first times visiting the motherland. Tunde, how did the trip impact you, given that it was your first time? Was it what you expected? What was going through your head?
To be honest, I didn't have any particular expectation. I know we had a lot of stuff on the itinerary, and my thing was, I'm going to do everything. But what I will say is, as we were flying into and getting ready to land in Ghana, what I remember is looking out the window and just thanking God that I had the ability to come home. Mm-hmm. And throughout the entire visit there, I was, in awe of the fact that I was here or there in Ghana. Because it's funny, because I was looking at my phone, my notes on my phone today, and I realized that 2 years ago in October in 2020, I had listed as a bucket list item that I wanted to go to Africa. I completely forgot about it. And so I just looked at how things came together in order for me to be able to make that trip. And the entire time, I felt like I was at home. Everybody looked out for each other to make sure that each of us had, we were comfortable, we had what we needed. Our hosts were awesome. So I just absolutely loved being on that trip. And I almost didn't want to come home. So
how about you, Pamela? How were you feeling about traveling to the continent for the first time? And then what did you reflect about after you were there?
I was very excited about going because, I often have seen pictures and videos of Africa on TV, and I wanted to experience it for myself. I wanted to just demystify what I've heard and understand some truths and get rid of some of the falsehoods that I've heard in the past. And just going to like the museum where the guy was showing us the soldiers out in front of the museum and the uniforms that they wore, and how they already had civilized tactical ways of performing in battles and to protect themselves, and how they already had these great communities that they've built with everyone having their own homes and having gated areas where they knew how to protect themselves, how to grow things, how to live, how to cultivate, how to speak different languages, how just they didn't need anyone to come over and teach them how to do anything. They already knew how to do all things for themselves. And what has happened to them throughout the years is a lot of that had been stripped away. And so now the newer generation is relearning those old ways again. And other things that struck me is the progressiveness of the city, how the city has built these tall lovely buildings, and they've got this magnificent financial area in the downtown. And then you can go out to another area where you go through this dense forest, and you walk. Once you get to the end of it, there's this lovely resort on the ocean side, you know, and you feel like you're in paradise, you know. And then of course you still see those areas that need some uplifting, some caring, and some development, you know. So you had these emotions that would break your heart, and then you have these other emotions that lifted your spirit, and you could just see the future exploding, you know. And it's just so much up and down with these emotions.
I love it. Reggie, you were going to say something.
Oh, I forgot now, Gina, but I do want to kind of add to what Pam was saying. So that the museum was, I think, I don't know the name in tree, but it was Ask Your Grandmother is really what the name of the museum is. And she talked about how the people already knew how to write and read, and they had developed languages, and they developed skills, and in fact the Europeans actually came to learn from them and take stuff back to where they came from, and still couldn't get it right, so they wanted us to come over to help them. And that's kind of part of the things to led to the enslavement of the people, is because the European wanted to get that information and wanted to learn some of the things that we knew. So it wasn't a situation that these people didn't know or were not educated or were not civilized. They were absolutely civilized. So I think that museum kind of brought that to light. And it's an important fact. It's something that people need to continue to tell people and educate people. We were already civilized. We already had languages. We already had written communication. They had means of telling times and calendars and so on and so forth. So they were not savages. They were actual civilized people, and other groups came to learn from them. So I just thought the museum did a wonderful job explaining that to people, and explaining that how the women really kind of carried the torch after the men started disappearing. The women just, band together. They figured out a plan to kind of defeat the Europeans. I mean, when it comes to the golden stool, they had a trick. They said, hey, this is what they want. We're going to create another stool, and we'll make them think that this is the real stool. And it wasn't. So the real stool is still in Ghana, which is great. So, it was just a huge educational trip. I mean, I learned so much. We had a great time. So it was a lot of fun. So I keep saying it. We had a lot of fun. But more than anything, we learned a lot of stuff, and I healed a lot, right? And I think we talked a little bit about what do we bring back when we come home. So the thing that I brought back is to be able to educate my family and people that I know about the whole slave trade and how the people were actually treated. That's an important thing that people need to remember and realize always. Never forget that.
And what will you bring back, or what have you brought back, Aroll?
Well, just the same thing. One of the main things that, like what he was saying about that museum, was we've got a lot of words like bamboozle and hoodwink and things like that. Well, the Europeans were there 100 years. They were learning from us for 100 years before the slave trade. We were teaching them for 100 years before the slave. So they had came into Africa, learned everything they needed to know. But then, we had befriended them. The love of the melanin betrayed us, in a sense. The love of the melanin people on this planet, because we're just loving people. We're from the Father, therefore we love. So they took advantage of that for 100 years. And as they studied us and learned us, when they decided to flip that switch and, like I said, start moving us out and taking all of our knowledge and moving us around, that was after a long period of study. And I think that's the most profound thing that's in the story of our story, was that we were studied before we were conquered. And I think that's one of the most hidden facts of the conversation of slavery and what had happened to us, is that we were studied before we were conquered. And we gave a lot of our knowledge to someone that we trusted before we were conquered. So that's the main thing as far as that museum. And then the rest was just loving seeing the people. But that history lesson stuck with me because I'm a bit of a historian. But when I realized that, that's a hard lesson. That's a hard lesson for brown-skinned people to understand that. But I think that lesson we need to take now because we're in a new era. And we're in an era now that we can understand what happened, we can face what happened, and we can address what happened. And that's really what time it is now. It's time to address what happened and let the people know that we understand what happened. And maybe because the people we're dealing with now, the Europeans and the white Americans, they don't understand what happened. They don't know what happened. They're just benefiting from everything. So, but they don't know what happened. But I think that was one of the most profound things there in that museum. And then, of course, they had the Black Jesus, which I love, my Black Yahweh, So and we need to understand that. And I talked to the sister. I said, well, here you have these Black Jesus up here. When we're riding down the street, we see all these white Jesus. You need to get the pastors in here and show them Yahshua. Show them who Yahshua really is. Because he's right here in your museum, and that's the real one. That's the one the Bible's talking about. So not the Michelangelosis. So
one of the things I want to make sure I say is that it was really an honor to have you all take this trip with African Ancestry. This trip was just part of an entire process. So for those of you who are just joining us, everyone who came on the African Ancestry Family Reunion Ghana had taken an African ancestry test and knows the country and the people that they share ancestry with. Most are Ghanaian from the Akan people. And so you trusted us with that. And then you trusted us to have this experience throughout the country. We visited 5 regions. We stayed in 5-star hotels all along the way, or at least 5, the highest star that was available in the region that we stayed in. I know, shout out to Nate. He was like, this is a Motel 6, but hotel in the region. So, and then, we stay true to African Ancestry's values along the way. So in Accra, we didn't stay at the Kempinski. We could have stayed at the Kempinski, and we thought we would stay at the Kempinski, but then we found a Black woman-owned boutique hotel, 5-star hotel, where every room was unique. Every room was different. They've won awards 11 out of the 12 years that they've been in business. And so we're able to continue to live out African Ancestry's values while we're on the continent. And then, of course, we were in the village, but you guys also turned up. Notice I said you guys. We turned up too. So the African Ancestry Family Reunion is a comprehensive birthright journey where you get to have a wide range of experiences with new people and learning along the way. You were going to say, Reggie?
So, Gina, the hotels that we stayed in were all amazing. They were really great hotels. And even the one that we joke about being the Motel 6, that was better than most hotels I've ever stayed in Europe. So Europe has some not the best hotels, and this was actually better than most hotels I stayed in Europe. So I think the hotels were great. They were absolutely good.
Shout out to Marcella Renee. She says she stars at the African region. So actually, the African region is where Black Alley stayed. And seeing us there nudged her to take the African Ancestry test. So you guys are doing big things all across the continent. What were you saying, Reggie? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. So, and then I wanted to kind of go back to what Aroll was saying about the things that we have to learn or what we're learning. One thing that we need to learn as a people is that we have to do enough to ensure our own survival. And the Europeans, when they came to Africa, they did everything they could possibly do to ensure their survival. We have to do the same thing.
Yes.
And that's current generation, future generations. We have to do everything possible to ensure our survival. They're gonna do it, and they did it. They proved it to us. And you can't halfway blame them, because they do or did what they needed to do to ensure their survival. We have to do the same thing. They come, they take from Africa. Africa is not poor. That's a misconception. It is very rich. If it's so poor, then why does everybody continue to come to take from Africa? Palm oil, cocoa, coconuts. They take everything, diamond. They take everything from Africa.
Right.
And you can't halfway blame them for ensuring their survival. We have to do the same thing. It is a very rich continent, particularly in Ghana. We have to keep those resources in Ghana. And I'm going to get off my soapbox.
As we wrap up, I want to just say to Latasha, she asked, which regions did we go to besides Accra and Kumasi? So we were in the Western region, which is where
Western,
we visited.
Central. We went to the Ashanti region. So Ashanti region, Western, Central, and Ghana.
Yeah. So we were all across the country making it happen. And then the last night we celebrated in Bree Hills, which felt like we were in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, it did.
Accra, and we just partied all night long with shout out to Black Alley bands, shout out to 901. Shout out to the DC contingent that was in the house. Shout out to everybody who was jamming to go-go. Go-go is my love language. You all know that. We had
go chat
of Aroll and Pamela dancing all night long. Tunde and Reggie were kind of in the cut, like they were in the VIP section, bobbing their heads. They were feeling it though. I know y'all were feeling it over there.
Absolutely.
Great. And I had, like I said, I had a great time with you all, and I really appreciate that you were there. We have just a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that each of you gets to say, gets a parting comment, something that you want people to know, something that's on your heart. If you want to, give me praise, whatever it is you want to do in these last. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So we'll just go around. We'll start with you today. What are your closing words to the people?
Number one, traveling with African Ancestry was everything, from the accommodations to the
oh no. Okay. Tunde froze. So we'll wait. We'll see if we can get Tunde back. Let's go to you, Pamela. What do you say to the people?
Well, I just wanted to say that African Ancestry made this a trip of a lifetime. From the time they picked us up and flew us across to the west side, to the bus trip all the way across the region back to the east side. And since my birthday, I was born on a Sunday, and my birthday fell on a Sunday. I had my birthday party there, and we just celebrated from the time we got there to the time we left. It was a beautiful thing. And I want to thank African Ancestry and my husband for being a great partner and making my dreams come true. And all of my African Ancestry party people we all loved each other. We had a great time. We all meshed very well together. We were all strangers when we met, but we were all friends when we parted.
Yeah.
Nice. How about you, Aroll?
Well, I want to share something with them that I sent to you in WhatsApp.
Okay.
I said, y'all now know what's great now. You know what's great now is that I can say African American. I can say Black American. No. I'm Akan Ashanti from Ghana on the African continent, raised in America. What a change in my consciousness, free my mind, and your ass will follow. And I said, Gina, this is really what you all are doing. you're freeing these minds. Once the DNA test happens, you're freeing our minds. And then from freeing our minds makes us want to do what we need to do, because now the body has moved where the mind couldn't move to until it was free. So the DNA test made me say, we're going to Ghana. We're going to do this with them. We're going to see what it's about. We're going to spend the money. We're going to go home. In doing that, I feel now that I'm not Black American. I'm not African American. I'm an Akan Ashanti raised in America. So just like the Chinese can tell us their line, just like the Mexicans can say, oh, I'm from the, everyone else can do this. Now I can do this. And now my children are going to be able to do this. Now my sister, I talked to my sister today, and I told her, this is who we are now. This is who we've always been. So it's no longer a mystery. So she's like, I want to go. I said, we're going back next year. Don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. So now it's no longer a mystery for me and for my wife who we are. We know who we are now. You know, we know that. We know that. And we're going to participate in that. And in knowing, we're finding out that we're close to the line of what we've been acting like all the time. Every one of you out there act a certain way. The mystery's been why. Once you do your DNA, you'll know why you act the way you act, because you're going to attach to the people that act just like you. So that's a
word. That's a word. That's the word. That's the word.
That's the word.
Let's bring Tunde back, because the Wi-Fi guys got you, Tunde. So let's go back to what you were saying.
No, I think I was just saying that, you know, the trip was awesome and amazing. The accommodations were great. The experiences were educational, emotional, like the entire experience was really, really great. And I think from this point forward, for me, one of the things that I kind of paid attention to being in Ghana is the way that the children are nurtured. And when we went to Dawn's house the one night, and you know, we had the young man who was working with us to make sure we were comfortable. And the next morning, I was like really emotional on the bus. I had a lot of emotional moments. But I think at the end of the day, it's like coming back home to Chicago. I think my mission, my task is to really start working with children. And being able to be nurturing to those children. Because I think we have a lot that's going on here in terms of crime. And I would like to see us to be able to, what I would like to do is to take somebody back to Africa, so that they know that there's more than just this life on the streets, right? And that's kind of maybe pie in the sky right now, but that's kind of like the thing that I had thought about following our trip. So for me, I had a wonderful time. I'm going to be getting my family to do my father's line for DNA, and I am very, very grateful that I went with African Ancestry to Ghana.
We are so glad that you came, and I don't think your vision is pie in the sky. I think that can absolutely happen, and we have the ancestors behind us to make it happen. So I'm going to keep that in my mind as well. Reggie Keys, we'll give you the closing.
So we only got 2 minutes.
We got
2 minutes. I'm going to keep it really short. So it was truly a family reunion. So and kind of what Pam was saying, we all strangers at the beginning, and we became family immediately, really. So I think we've built some relationships that will continue to develop. I think everybody needs to take the DNA test, and even if it's only on your maternal line, know who you are. It's so important. The gift that you give yourself and your family and generations of people in your family, it's just it's unmatched. I mean, it's well spent money. And I'm going to shut up. That's it.
Thank you. I love it. And I just wanted to respond to, there was someone, she said, I think her name is Lakeisha. I can't remember. Lakita Redfern says, haven't done African ancestry, but my grandmother came back Nigerian, Cameroon, Togo, and Benin. And so I think that what you what you've seen tonight, Lakita, is that we know we're West African. We know we come from all of those countries. We don't need DNA to tell us those percentages. But when you do come to African Ancestry and you do join the family, you'll be able to have some very specific, tangible connections that will result in so much of what you've heard here tonight. I just want to say thank you one more time. I know you guys are tired because I'm tired, but I appreciate that you came on your first African Ancestry experience visit, and that you shared your experiences with us. The comments have been on fire. I don't know if we've ever had this many comments. People really appreciate you sharing your experience. And I know that you're going to continue to share it in your communities where you are in Chicago and in Nashville. I'll be in Nashville. I'm telling you, I'm going to be there in January. And where are you, Reggie? Say in Columbus, Ohio, right?
Columbus, Ohio. Yep.
We're worldwide. I want to shout out to Robert Lambert. He said, take the real test, Lakita. I want to shout out Wendy, who is our producer for the AAE. She pulled all this together and does a tremendous job every single week. I don't know if anybody in the DMV won the tickets, but don't forget to tag us when you go see Black Panther, and so we can see what you were wearing and what you thought about it. Are y'all going to see Black Panther? Reggie, Aroll, Tunde?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate all of you being here with us. That's right, Wakanda forever. All of you all being with us tonight. And shout out to Nate Robinson, who is lurking in the comments. He's an integral part of our trip, giving us his perspective everywhere we went as well. And we appreciated you there, as well as everyone else who was on the trip who couldn't join us tonight. Alfred won. Oh, we have Alfred. We're going to meet you at Angelica. Alfred, be sure to email us your name and email and number so we can get you the tickets. Until we meet again, everybody, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good evening.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria.